Greetings in the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Welcome to our marriage series. I hope I find you well. Today I continue with the series on intercultural, interracial marriages. Today I just want to, yesterday I was talking about the advantages of the intercultural, interracial marriage. Today I'm going to talk about the challenges. I don't want to call them disadvantages, but I want to call them challenges of intercultural, interracial marriage. When you are talking about the intercultural, interracial marriages, we are talking about marriage between two people from different backgrounds or from different races. So I focus on the advantage. Today I'm going to focus on the challenges. I'm going to read from the book of Numbers chapter 12 from verse 1. It says that Miriam and Aaron began to talk against Moses because of his Cushite wife, for he had married a Cushite. Yes, the Lord spoken only through Moses, they asked. Hasn't he also spoken through us? And the Lord heard this. Now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth. So here we see Moses. Moses he had an intercultural, interracial marriage. His wife was an Ethiopian, because the other version says that an Ethiopian woman. So his wife was an Ethiopian woman. She was from Midian. So you remember when Moses he had killed an Egyptian and he ran away from Egypt, he ended up in Midian. So I was even saying last time that when it comes to marriage, you need to be open-minded. When it comes to marriage, you need to seek the guidance of God. You need to be flexible, because there are people who are so rigid that they have told themselves that I'm not going to marry from someone that doesn't speak my language. I'm not going to marry someone that doesn't come from my country. I'm not going to marry anyone that is of different race. But I strongly believe as a child of God that a good marriage comes from God and a good partner comes from God. Even the scripture says that a good wife comes from God, and I also believe that vice versa, a good wife comes from a good husband, also comes from God. So sometimes you come to, you travel, sometimes you end up like maybe not married, and you end up like in totally different place from home, and you still like you have to punish yourself that that I'm not going to do this. Yet it might work for you, but you must also be open-minded, because maybe the Lord wants to have an intercultural marriage. You want to have an interracial marriage. You must always have that fear of God, that willingness to be led by God. I don't think that Moses ever planned that he was going to marry a Midianite woman. I don't think Moses ever planned that he was going to marry someone from Africa, someone that was of a different race. He was actually Moses was white, and this woman was black. So, but he find himself marrying that because God was guiding him. Yeah, she was a good wife. God was guiding. So we need to have that flexibility. So now we even realize now, as when we talk about the challenges of the intercultural, interracial marriage, we also see that Miriam was already attacking Moses, and also what's his name, Aaron was also attacking Moses. They were blaming him for this marriage. So these are the challenges that you find in intercultural, interracial marriages, that some family members sometimes they can just disapprove your marriage. Friends can disapprove your marriage because they feel they own you. They feel that they have a say concerning your marriage. So they can just hate your partner for no apparent reason. They don't want to study about that partner's character. They don't want to study about who that partner is. They can just hate that. But Moses was led by God to do so. Moses was led by God to do so. As one can even argue that the Jews were not allowed to marry from other cultures. Yes, that That is very true, but it was not true with everyone. Sometimes God will allow people to marry from different cultures. You even see that later that Boaz had to marry even a Moabite woman, that is like Ruth, and even Jesus come from that genealogy. And you even see that even the prostitute Rahab, that was even from the other race, but she ended up being slaughtered in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. There are people there are exceptions. You have to allow God to be God. There will always be exceptions that God can do that because God is God. So He was doing that in that time, even when there were even strict laws that they could not intermarry, but you still see that intermarriage. So I even strongly believe that God will allow people to intermarry. Even today, there's a lot of intercultural, interracial marriages. But these are the challenges that sometimes family members, so they will feel like they are entitled to your marriage. They are entitled to have a say. They are entitled to disapprove your marriage. But you must allow God to be God. And even you as couple, you must keep focused. You don't need to be angry with those people that blame us. You don't need to be upset about the people that criticize us. People will always have say, but sometimes family members can just disapprove us. When I got married a day before my wedding, I just came to the wife to the house of my wife to their parents to collect her goods to the town that we're gonna be married in, and also we're going to stay there. So I came and we came and collected the goods. So when I came there, I just maybe a few minutes when I was there, then a close relative of my father-in-law arrived. And when he arrived, they went into a closed meeting with my father-in-law. It was a tense meeting. And when my father-in-law came out, he said that no, that a brother of his was saying that no, this marriage has to be stopped. This wedding has to be stopped because he said a lot of negative things, but he did not even know me because they were scared of their relative. They were scared. They were worried about my wife, but people never even have an effort to learn about me to you know what I mean. We have these stereotypes. They are stereotypes that people have towards certain races, towards certain cultures, that they don't even care where you are. They don't even care about your heart. So we must remain focused. Then don't expect that people is gonna love you. They're just gonna accept. You're gonna love your spouse. They're just gonna automatically accept your spouse. You must give them time. Even if they don't want, you remain focused. It's like what Moses did. He remained focused and God fought for him. You don't wish that your relatives will have lepers like what Miriam did, but the Lord wanted to teach them something, that they were supposed to respect Moses. They were supposed to respect that God was leading him. So the challenges of intercultural marriages is that the relatives can just disapprove your marriage. I remember even we were so excited with my wife. She has got a big family and we're in the country of my wife. That means I didn't have a lot of relatives, but we could have more relatives from my wife's side. But I had a lot of friends, so we did not even invite a lot of our friends to our wedding because of how big the family of my family is. So when we invited all those close relatives, 3/4 of them didn't come to our wedding. It was disappointing, but we just had to keep focused. And also there was even a close relative that is a pastor that we asked to officiate our marriage, and for some reason he cancelled that. We don't mind about that. We just had to make other alternatives, but what I can say is that you remain focused. You don't feel like you have the right for people to love you or for people to accept you. People can just decide not to love you, not to accept you. You mustn't worry about that. You must remain focused, especially if the two of you are united, are in love. You've got open communication. You make it despite what people say. You will make it. So the challenge is that sometimes you even have rude comments from strangers. Yes, when you are walking talking, even in our first day, sometimes we just have like rude comments from strangers. People assume they know everything about your spouse based on stereotypes they read or heard concerning one's culture. So you expect those rude comments, they may come. So there's also difficult. They might be difficult also in raising children, because there's a certain way your spouse has been raised. There's a certain way that you were raised. So you need to discuss these things so that you can raise your children in your own way. I was even saying in the previous episode that when we were planning to get married, we went through like a thorough counseling. I remember through Dr. Bob and Sister Jackie. We went through like a thorough counseling, and one thing that they told us is that you need to have your own culture, because I'm coming from Zimbabwe, I'm coming from the Shona tribe, she's coming from South Africa, and she's coming from a colored tribe. So we need we said that they said to us that you need to have your own culture. That is very, very, very important. So you must have your own culture in how you are going to raise your children. It is very, very important, but it can be very challenging if you are rigid, because intercultural, interracial marriage, it doesn't need you to be rigid, but it needs flexibility, it needs understanding, it needs wisdom, and also need the guidance of the Lord. They can also be like a feeling of loneliness when because it depends where you are, because when you are like me, I'm in my wife's country. So when I'm in my wife's country, that means my wife will have like even more of her people around here, and I might not have more of my people around me. That can happen also if I go to Zimbabwe. I will have more of my people around me and less of her people. I might have more people to talk to, more people to visit, and all those things to socialize with, whereas she might not have. So you must even have a way of like including her. You have a way of encouraging her. You know what I mean. You must even shield her, especially when in that situation. So there can be even that sense of loneliness, but you need to be there for each other. These are the challenges that you can face in an intercultural marriage. You may feel that you have no one to talk to who understand the space that you are at in an intercultural marriage. So there's also pressure around intercultural marriage because of it to unhappiness between the couple. So there can be like a lot of stress, because especially when you feel like no one is understanding you, no one is like there for you, is like understanding the space that you are at. But like what I said, as long as you as a couple, you keep on communicating, you keep on supporting each other, you overcome anything that comes across your way. So you need also even to discuss about your roles, because you are going to realize that from certain cultures they will tell you that women don't do this, women don't cook, men don't cook, men don't wash clothes, they don't sweep, they don't do all these kinds of things, and women don't do ABCD. So it's very, very important to discuss these roles. You must have like an open mind. I thank God that before I got married, I would visit my wife's family, and I would see how things were happening. I would see even how my father-in-law was treating my mother-in-law. I will see even the duties that he even like carry. So even when people look at me, maybe they just like look at me as a Zimbabwean man, but when you come into my house, you realize that I'm not just like a Zimbabwean man, but I'm a husband to my wife. I'm there for her. We support each other. we have our own way of doing things. So I would see even my father-in-law, every time when my mother-in-law loved to cook, so she would always like be cooking. My father-in-law really was not really a good cook. He was not so much into cooking. But what I would notice that every time when my mother-in-law had finished cooking, my father-in-law would do the dishes. He didn't even mind to do the dishes. He didn't even mind to do like a certain chores. So I would see those things. So when I saw those things, so I even started to practice those things. So even despite the fact that maybe we're not so much doing those things, but I saw, you know what I mean, what it is to be a husband, especially in that setup. And it's actually I have learned even flexibility. So you need to discuss these roles as like a husband and wife. If you come into my house, you see that I will be cooking. I don't even mind about cooking. I don't even mind about even cleaning the house. I don't even mind about washing the dishes. You know what I mean? So I remember the other time, even when my brother came and he was even saying, "Yeah, you were hungry." That's the disadvantage when the wife is busy, when the wife is not is away, and what he was even talking about all these things. But he did not know that no, I could even cook, I could even do those chores. But he was thinking that because my wife was not there, we must like wait for her to come and sort us